That should work. There we go. Awesome. Hello, one and all. Welcome to the KubeVirt Accelerated Infrastructure Enablement Working Group meeting for the 2nd of July. We have quite a lot in the agenda today. Fan, thank you for populating everything and doing all of this. Do you want to talk through the pending PRs, even though I think they're all... Oh, no, the first one's yours. Yeah, should we talk about the pending PRs first?
Yeah. So first, I would like to appreciate everyone's hard working. We have all the layers of the Grace Blackwell support PRs get merged to the mainstream. So that's a good milestone. Thanks for everyone. And yeah, so we still have few PRs pending. The first one is mine. This one is a follow up to the WEP 199 to adding support of the SSID size and the OAS for the Grace Blackwell. So currently for the Grace Blackwell and the Vera Rubin, the system using a fixed OAS and SSID. So we can set its default value 20 and 48 bits. So that's a fine so far in the short term. Regarding to we agree to in the long term, we need to support the inference from the system, but it might not be easily to implement at this moment. For example, they are not information to read from the file system. So for the OS, we needed to read them from the the kernel probes. So, but for the SSID, that might be a little bit complex. So I capture the information in the PR description. So, but in my opinion, for now, it should be good for good. This PR should be good go at this moment.
Yeah, agree. I think for main, this is fine. I think we've previously spoken about, obviously with our 1.8 implementation, we had the inference approach. But we also now, in the KubeVirt AIE project with 1.9, should have access to the auto attribute in QEMU that hands off all the inference for this to QEMU itself. I'm not sure if it does SSID. Um, but we've got a story to look into that and to potentially implement it in the KubeVirt AIE branch for 1.9 if it's when it's available in the QEMU packages that we've got there. So the plan is to kind of offload that inference. But yeah, for main, this is fine setting default values and everything. That's fine. But longer term, I think we do want something to infer these values. Hopefully not KubeVirt, but QEMU eventually. When we'd be able to upstream that support is a good question. I know that we spoke to the QEMU folks earlier, and they're upstreaming very aggressively with a lot of this stuff. And in 10.3, they have said that pretty much most of the stuff should already be there. So I would imagine it would be showing up in CentOS Stream relatively quickly, and might be available in main once we've moved over to CentOS 10, CentOS Stream 10. But yeah, regardless, like as an initial follow-up PR, like I've got no problems with this. But Federico, I don't know if you've looked at it.
Not yet.
Okay. And does that make sense? Does that track with what you thought would be happening next as well with this kind of stuff?
Yeah, that makes sense. I think do you believe this feature, the inference feature, can be supported by the QEMU, or adding some APIs on QEMU side?
Yeah, so that was my understanding. That's what this auto attribute is going to enable. I believe that's how they're going to wire it up. Like I said, though, we haven't implemented that in the KubeVirt AIE project yet, so I'm not entirely sure what the coverage of the inferences if it does cover SSID size and everything else. But that's we went to them with a requirement at the beginning of this effort to basically automate all of that for us because we didn't want to carry the code to infer all those values, and they went away, created this, and have told us to use it. So um, yeah, I'll look at it before the next call, and we can try and get a PR posted or something to show um, what the API looks like, at least in the CentOS AIE QEMU version, and we can go from there because like yeah, that stuff is all very malleable still. Like they're still looking for feedback from us and from others on the API and what it does and everything. So if it is missing an attribute, um, or if you feel it's doing something, it's calculating things incorrectly, we can always go back to them and have it changed.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds good. So my only question was, is that will be only a downstream change in the AIA branch, or will be upstream to the CentOS, the public?
So initially it's in the AIE CentOS Stream SIG builds, but it will be upstreamed. That the plan is to upstream it. So it's publicly available in the QEMU project and then um, CentOS Stream as well.
Okay, okay, okay. That yeah, that makes sense. I in that case, I think we need to cherry pick that commit to our NVIDIA QEMU repos as well to support it into in different platforms for our kernels.
Yeah, yeah, we'll rebase onto the new upstream stuff. Yeah, it would need to be shared. But
Uh,
from our point of view, it's all public, so yeah, you're free to take it.
okay, awesome. Thanks.
Cool. And yeah, the additional two from me there. It's one for the IO MMUFD feature. This was through testing, so unfortunately we've lost access to the launchpad systems that we had from NVIDIA. It's like a partner lab. Um, we think it's a bookkeeping error. It happened on July 1st at the start of the month, so we think someone forgot to increase our allotted time or something with the systems. But yeah, we haven't got them back yet. So this just came from some initial testing that I was doing. My approach to testing, and we can talk about this later as well, has been to use CentOS Stream SIG kernels and bits and everything against upstream KubeVirt. And I've started bootstrapping the AIE KubeVirt AIE branch first and foremost, as we can also talk about in a second. But I've also tried to introduce a kind 1.36 Grace provider to KubeVirt CI to actually just allow us to test things, even if it's manually, like in a repeatable fashion, basically. Um, it's not complete yet. Unfortunately, I needed another day or so with the system, and it got yanked out from underneath me. But that's the kind of approach I'm taking at the moment because with 1.8, it was all very ad hoc, and we were doing a lot of testing against downstream Red Hat OpenShift virtualization bits that was fine, but just a bit more awkward. So I'm trying to go with an upstream first approach and a repeatable approach this time around. But yeah, this was one of the things that came out of it. Apparently, we're not exposing the CVDAV devices properly. That works. I'm forgetting why it worked downstream. I think it's an OpenShiftism with the security context and everything that we set downstream compared to running this in kind upstream. But yeah, this should hopefully be trivial. And then the other one is the unlimited memlock for all VMIs. So yeah, this has been a back and forth thing. Initially, the Libvirt folks wanted us to just copy their calculation to basically cancel it out. I then had an idea. Well, then they told us to use hard limit to basically disable their calculation and just allow us to run our own calculation and carry the logic forever. That doesn't work because we run libvirt in session mode, and this is all blocked. Hard limit is blocked in session mode. So yeah, the third alternative that we've come up with is this unlimited approach. But yeah, it's got review, seems to be the correct way of doing things. I haven't tested it yet at all. Yeah, well, with a grey system with GB or Hooper or anything, but um, yeah, that should be a straightforward thing. All three of these should be straightforward to land, and then potentially backport to release 1.9. So, Fan, do you want to talk about the RPM plan section?
Yeah, yeah. So, the first question I wanted to ask, well, I think we needed to make clear which RPM version we need to pack to the release 1.9, the coming release. Are we going to using the CentOS IIE branch or officially CentOS Stream 10 branch?
So when you say release 1.9, do you mean KubeVirt
Yeah.
or
Okay.
so? Yeah, KubeVirt's not going to get it won't get any of these RPMs. So we're keeping KubeVirt release 1.9 and main and everything just on vanilla um, CentOS Stream RPMs for 9 and 10. So any additional things that we need on top of that for this effort, we're going to be using branches in the KubeVirt AE project for. And the PR that you've listed there, 56, it's just my initial bootstrapping for release 1.9. Was it AIE-NV? And that's specifically using the CentOS Stream AIE SIG RPMs for NVIDIA. And it's not pulling those in tree, it's pulling them into the workspace of that tree basically. Now you go on to kind of talk about a need to support a slightly different combination and RPMs from potentially a different source.
Yeah.
We If they're not public RPMs, um, I guess you probably don't want to. There's no way of really importing them into the workspace in the tree or anything. So you probably don't want a public branch. There should be scripts and functionality already in the tree that allows you to pull in customized RPMs temporarily um, into the workspace. Um, it becomes more of a question about MVRs and stuff if they would actually be able to overwrite the versions from the CentOS stream SIG. Um, yeah, it's an awkward one because if these NVIDIA RPMs aren't public and they're just downstream, um, you would almost need to carry your own private branch somewhere that switched over to them or imported them or just rewrote the workspace and just removed the AIE stuff. I think for the release 1.9 AIE and V branch that I'm trying to bootstrap, the kind of philosophy is going to be that we just want to stick with the public CentOS stream AIE SIG RPMs because they're publicly accessible. We can test against them. Well, limited testing, but we can still pull them, build them, test them in some manner upstream in an open way. We just need to make sure that you guys have an opportunity to switch things out easily, I guess, and test downstream if that's a goal for you. Like if they're publicly available and I've got things wrong, then we can also the alternative is to have a parallel branch to this um, that switches out things publicly and just it tracks they track each other somehow. Um, but yeah,
So, Yeah, sorry to cut. So are you saying in the uh, KubeVirt release 1.9 we won't use the AIE branch to support the Grace well?
Yeah, so there's no formal releases from KubeVirt AIE itself. The support is there in KubeVirt, but because it's alpha at the moment, the I think the assumption is that the if the end user if someone wants to use this, then they're going to have to build with RPMs that, that provide the support in QEMU and the vert themselves. Like it's a task, an end user kind of deployment task, because it is alpha. I think for this to get to beta, we need all of that upstreaming that we were talking about to actually land, and so that you can just build KubeVirt from KubeVirt main or release 110 or whenever it's going to happen, and you get CentOS Stream 10 userland bits with all of the required patches to live in QEMU. And at that point, I think the Grace feature gate could then potentially move to beta. But while it's alpha, yeah, there's an additional build step, unfortunately.
So, do do you have idea what's the time frame they merge the AI branch to the mainstream CentOS Stream 10?
So yeah, like I said before, CentOS Stream. Well, I guess it's Stream, isn't it? Um, so downstream 10.3 is the target. So I think a lot of I'm forgetting the version numbers and everything that maps to, but it should be relatively quick. So that's why I was suggesting potentially as early as 1.10. Um, but yeah, that's something for us to track through your VEP and through KubeVirt, I guess, and the versions of QEMU and libvirt that we're able to pull in. Um,
I see. Yeah, because in parallel, what I learned from the NVIDIA BaseOS kernel team, they have some Grace Blackwell and Rubin patches be accepted by the Red Hat. I'm not sure if the same team of the CentOS. All of these patches are open to the kernel org, so upstream, and they are in the pipeline. They some of them are already landed by June. So
oh,
yeah, so I think upstream CentOS. I'm not sure CentOS upstream pipeline if the pipeline has carried all these commits.
yeah, we're gonna have to figure that out, I guess, as part of the 1.10 vet process. Um, because if things are landing and are going to be available by the 1.10 kind of GA timeframe, then we could potentially propose moving the feature gate to beta. There's obviously other criteria as well around testing that I'll have to discuss. But yeah, in my mind, in terms of building and RPMs and stuff, that was the one blocker to moving it off of alpha, was all of this stuff being available in CentOS Stream. Because yeah, ultimately from a KubeVirt community point of view, we have to pick something to kind of um, to build against and to align against. And yeah, for now it's CentOS Stream. Um, so well, yeah, it's
Um,
CentOS Stream 9 at the moment, but hopefully with 1.10 it will switch to 10 for user land, for user space. Um,
are we going to switch from 9 to 10 in the 1.9 release officially?
Not in 1.9, no. We tried to. There were just a few too many issues before we hit the beta milestone, so we didn't actually switch in the end. So I have a VEP for that, and we're going to try again with 1.10 to switch over.
I
It's
see.
only, yeah, we'd only be using it against the new provider, the 137 provider,
Mm.
just to ensure that we still had coverage for 9. It's a rolling thing. it's a bit awkward. Our hands being kind of forced by some downstream constraints, but yeah, we're going to try for 1.10 as well. But
Okay,
for 1.9, the grace feature is alpha anyway, so it doesn't really matter, and it's still perfectly buildable with 10. Um, yeah.
I I see. So, from your side, do you recommend your customer to using uh, uh, with Blackwell support based on the AIE branch instead of the KubeVirt main branch, right?
Yeah, so we have just shipped RHEL for NVIDIA officially. So that effort provides the host kernel. And then we provide a separate Virt launcher image that provides the libvirt and QEMU versions and all of the KubeVirt logic from the 1.8 branch that we had. Um, Moving forward, I want to change that, but we'll see if we can. I'd much prefer to go to a full fork, so all of the components are forked from KubeVirt AIE, and so we have like a OpenShift virtualization for NVIDIA product, but that's a product discussion that is getting nowhere downstream. But yeah, so we for now for our customers we are shipping code from the KubeVirt AIE project and from the CentOS stream AIE SIG to enable Grace Blackwell against 422's our version that aligns with 1.9. So um, yeah, it's a bit awkward at the moment, but like like I've been saying throughout this effort, part of this is getting things upstreamed as aggressively as possible. So that's why we've been helping and working with you to get things implemented in 1.9 so that we don't have to carry that stuff necessarily for Blackwell going forward in future versions of the product downstream. Um, yeah, there's a couple of comments at the end where I wanted to talk about Vera Rubin support. Like that's something that we're kind of looking towards next. So um, yeah, it's I don't want to use the phrase mess, but it's yeah, it's a complex thing, the moving target that we're you know trying to hit
Uh,
at the moment.
okay, yeah, so yeah, thanks for the information. Yeah, it's good to know. We can, we in this case we have to plan our roadmaps accordingly.
Yeah, well, like honestly, there's nothing stopping us from creating a separate branch in KubeVirt AIE for you guys if you want to have a separate build space. If things are publicly accessible, the patches and the builds and everything, like we can do that, and then just align on the patches that we carry, um, and just try and upstream that from there into 1.10, etc. Like, yeah, and we are going to be trying to. If there's opportunities to just fix things in KubeVirt, we will just fix things in KubeVirt and backport them to 1.9 or whatever, and rebase the KubeVirt AIE stuff on that if needed. So um, yeah, we want to work alongside you guys as much as possible. So we're not,
Yeah.
yeah, we don't want to force you to go downstream or to feel like you can't work with us in the KubeVirt AIE project and stuff like that. So if we can make you space or whatever to accommodate you, then we will.
Mm.
Do we want to talk about testing plan?
Yeah. Uh, yeah. So, we know we don't have a CI coverage for the Grace Blackwell for the release. So all our validations are based on manual and developer driven. So I think I propose using the plan for two tracks. The first one is like you have been doing using the CentOS based host kernel and tested the CentOS stream user space libvirt QEMU for the whole stack. And on our side, we have some customers using NVIDIA DGX OS-based host kernel. So we have to test both the centralized AIE branch, the Word Launcher pod, and our customized NVIDIA RPMs. So does that make sense, or do you have some concern?
No, for testing that makes sense. I guess my only slight concern is with us using different kernels. Um, yeah, because the release 1.9 branch that we've got. When I say release 1.9, actually, when we say release 1.9, are we talking about KubeVirt again, or KubeVirt AIE?
E yeah, so yeah, that's confusing here. So our destination is to put every effort into the KubeVirt, the main branch, right? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, you know, the current situation is all of this work cannot land it in the KubeVirt by the release 1.9. So we still need to keep the AIE branch for a long time, right? So I think can we uh, so can we clarify some delivery in the release 1.9? We can first we can test it some deliveries in 1.9 for the KubeVirt, and then for uh, and then the test plan continue to be covered AIE branch.
Yeah. So for release 1.9, on the Red Hat side, we're like focused on just testing the coverage that's landed recently, so the GHDB coverage and GPU pass through. And like you said here, we'll be using initially CentOS Stream 10 AIE host kernels to do that, but eventually we will also need to test that against plain CentOS Stream 10, and eventually it will be supported just within the vanilla product with the Arcos 10 hosts and just a normal user space. But um, initially, because they're still missing bits from everywhere else, we're just targeting AIE host kernels and RPMs. Like to actually do that today, I've had to bootstrap the release 1.9 AIE NV branch in KubeVirt AIE, just to pull in those additional RPMs that we still need for libvirt and QEMU. So that's just the initial starting point, and that's the initial starting point for that branch as well. Is just verification of what is landed in main already, but our actual plans for that branch go well past that. It's like this is just the literal starting point, and then Vera Rubin support is also something that we want to eventually extend to on that branch. Um, and this is just a kind of result of our kind of release cadence. So our releases obviously aren't immediate from upstream to downstream. So the corresponding release for 1.9 KubeVirt 1.9 is going to be 5.0 downstream, but that isn't coming for a couple of months yet. So in that gap in between, we need a vehicle to continue working on Vera Rubin support, basically. So that's what we're going to be using that branch for. But yeah, and in terms of validating the KubeVirt 1.9 stuff, I guess, yeah, using the GGX kernel then probably isn't a huge problem. I think if we are developing new features in KubeVirt AIE though, it would be good to be using the same kernel space and user space if possible. But yeah, for validating on your side, I guess that's okay. As you said, yeah, the initial versions that you're testing there with Vert Launcher, they're the KubeVirt AIE versions you've listed, right? And that you've
Yeah.
highlighted. Yeah. So yeah, testing against those as well using the Bootstrap branch that I've got would be good, and then retesting with your customized stuff should be good as well. Um,
Okay.
yeah, I
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm explaining it well, but like the development aspect of this after that for Vera Rubin and stuff, we can have
So,
different kernel spaces and user spaces. It's just going to make things a bit more awkward.
yeah. So, yeah. Back to the same question. Are you going to populate the AIE branch as the RPMs population? Uh,
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, the initial release 1.9 AIE NV branch will be synced. Yeah, it will be.
Um, so are you going to upstream this PR to the main branch, KubeVirt
No,
for that
no, no,
one?
no. So that's
Yeah,
going to stay separate.
yeah. So I still have a concern. We release 1.9. How we convince the customer or the user using the KubeVirt features if without the RPM?
Like I said, it's a build time downstream kind of concern at that point for alpha. Like KubeVirt, the rest of the guys on the call who've been quiet, keep me honest there. But I think the general approach is to keep KubeVirt as vanilla as possible in terms of builds and where the RPMs are coming from. Um, and while it's an alpha feature, I think that's fine. Um, for beta,
So
once that's
how
sorry.
would be valuable to using my proposal? Provide the user a customized RPMs, make it flexible.
Yeah,
Uh,
so that should be possible today though, from the repo. Like when you talk about customers here, or users, sorry, do you mean the folks that are building KubeVirt, or do you mean the folks that are actually using it?
yeah. So, for example, the use case would be the user check out the KubeVirt 1.9, and they wanted to use customized RPMs, whatever is from the AIE or their own RPMs. They can directly build the user space libvirt queue by themselves because they have all the tooling the scripts there that we provided along with the release 1.9, like the ideas mentioned here.
Yeah, like there is support already in the project to just pull in arbitrary RPMs. That because of Bazel, it's not always that simple because of name version release conflicts and stuff. Um, I don't like. I think we've had this discussion in the past about building custom QEMU and custom libvirt from arbitrary sources and stuff. Like I don't know if KubeVirt needs to be in the business of caring about that stuff. Um, it needs to carry those scripts necessarily. Like that's for those projects to potentially carry and make it easier for folks to build RPMs and stuff out of them. If you're talking about straight from source trees, um, but it sounds as if for your case downstream you already have RPMs built that you want to consume, right? These aren't just
Yeah.
arbitrary from arbitrary trees. So I think when RPMs are already built and available
Mhm.
to you, there should be support in KubeVirt already for saying I want these RPMs from this repo. I want these versions from this repo. Go fetch them and build them into my images for me. That should already exist. I'm pretty confident it does.
Mm,
So that I think that should be enough because we don't really want to carry any of that stuff up in KubeVirt main because it's the RPMs wouldn't be available. They're not accessible. Like we don't want to pollute the workspace with a load of um, MVARs for if KubeVirt with NVIDIA RPMs is true or something. go and pull from this super secret repo that you don't have access to. Um,
Mm.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I don't know if that's making sense. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. I think we have the script tooling. I think the main concern about the in the mainstream is the mainstream combined the multiple architecture together in the script. So when you wiring the RPMs, customer RPMs, you have to provide both for all the architectures. But however, for the Grace Blackwell by Rubin, they only care about the ARM based. So we only build ARM based RPMs. That's a normal use case. So
Yeah.
I I think yeah, the proposal would be the key point in the proposal would be only to scope the RPM customize the RPM wiring by the architecture. So change a little bit in the existing script, the building script in the mainstream, the main branch. So
Yeah, I
like
think
this,
you can do that already. Sorry. There is a single arch environment variable, I think, that lets you do that. I think it's single arch, or it's something arch. Um, and you just specify ARM64 there. And it definitely works with make RPMs depth. The dependent the kind of normal make target that we use to pull in RPM updates from CentOS Stream. Um, I think it works with the custom stuff as well that we have in Tree, so for pulling in custom RPMs. So that specific use case you're talking about there should be entirely possible. Um, I am more than happy. I was just gloating to Federico that I've got no meetings tomorrow because it's um, July 3rd in the US. So
yeah,
I assume you're off, but I don't mind having a look at this tomorrow and just writing it up and putting it in the Slack channel that we have. So you can have a look early next week at how I think you should be doing this, and if it isn't acceptable, then we can take this back upstream to KubeVirt, and yeah, we can potentially look at a different way. But I think we have enough environment variables and ways of controlling the RPMs that are pulled into the build process in KubeVirt main that we should be able to address your use case. 2 seconds.
are you muted?
No, I wish I was. I've got a 6-year-old who wants some buttons undone, apparently. So sorry, my daughter's just home. Bear with me 2 seconds. Right. Happy? Done. There we go. Sorry, she has an after school club where she has to
No
get changed
worry.
into a uniform. Um, and apparently her tiny little hands can't handle buttons just yet. Um, so yeah, is that okay if we just try that
Yeah,
approach? I'll try and write something up, and if it doesn't satisfy the use case, then
yeah,
we can try something different.
sure. Yeah, yeah, we can discuss offline.
But like I said, just with the feature and the feature gate itself, though, I think the general consensus is that um, as this graduates, this isn't going to be a problem anymore. Like we don't want to graduate until things are upstreamed and available in vanilla CentOS stream. So like the KubeVirt build process would then just provide what's required. There's no external dependencies at that point. Um, so yeah, this is just a hope. This is hopefully a temporary thing initially with this for Grace Blackwell at least. It probably will repeat with later hardware, but yeah, hopefully just a temporary state of affairs. Um, and what else was I going to say? And yeah, just with the GB testing, hopefully we get access as well next week, or yeah, it probably will be next week now, given the American holiday. Um, and yeah, I'll keep discussing things. Thank you for using the upstream Slack channel to chat about all of this, and apologies if I'm a little slow getting back. I blame Slack personally because it breaks it, the workspaces are separate, and it's a bit of a nightmare to kind of keep on track of. I think I'm on like 4
Yeah,
workspaces. um, not like the good
agreed.
old days of IRC when there was separate windows and it was all nicely kind of segregated. It's all on top of each other now. But yeah, I'll try and kind of keep you updated with our progress there, and yeah, hopefully um, we can
Yeah.
get that validated next week. One thing that I didn't do with the testing was use the full GPU operator. That was a bit of a mistake. I ended up only using the device plugin and then manually binding the host devices to the I bound them to VFIO PCI that instead of the actual full driver NVIDIA driver one. So yeah, and I had a nice kernel panic because of that apparently. So yeah, I need to retest all of that stuff, but hopefully when I actually do it correctly next time, and I probably will end up using the full GPU operator or something. Um, yeah, I'll get things validated and we can move past this initial phase,
Yeah.
at least on
Yeah.
our side.
Okay, yeah, I have some tips for using the GPU reader to bind to the drivers on Grace by well. You might need to manually stop some NVIDIA drivers on the host because if some drivers, for example, the persistent D and memory, the GPU memory sync process, they are claiming the GPU devices, and all these GPUs are actively in usage. So that will block the GPU operator to bind the driver to switch to the driver. So you might need to manually stop all of them. So I will share you detailed information in the Slack channel.
Yeah, that would be really appreciated. Thank you. Yeah, I was worried about little things like that happening because it's a kind of yeah, it's a single node cluster in kind and everything. So yeah, if I hit anything, I'll let you know as well. And um, again, with the kind approach, it probably doesn't matter for the validation part, but for later on for development and stuff, it might be good if you end up working on the Vera Rubin stuff as well and using like a standardized kind of platform to develop against as well initially, just to avoid us having to kind of work independently and work through issues like that. But that's for later. For now, it's fine. Cool. Um, yeah. So the final 2 points. Sorry. Yeah, you don't have to answer this outright, but yeah, I've said from our point of view, like Vera Rubin support, basic pass-through support is something that we want to enable on the 1.9 branch. Do you have any plans to do any Vera Rubin enablement at all during the 1.10 cycle, or are you interested in collaborating with us on this release 1.9 AIE branch? Is that on your roadmap at all, or is it just are you firmly focused on the Blackwell upstreaming and verification at the moment?
Yeah, definitely we have a roadmap and plans for the Ruby support. So that's actually uh, in the progress. So we will have the hardware in July, yeah, this month. And there will be there are two things. The first one is some kernel support. Let's say we extended the GPU memory and the virtual command line queue will be supporting the kernel, and these patches have been upstreamed. And they will land in plan in June and July by the project Red Hat for NV. I'm not sure what's the relationship between the Red Hat for NV and the CentOS, or you have different teams or working on
So
can you elaborate?
the AIE is the upstream of Ralph MV. That's where all the patches are going straight away. Um, uh, so yeah, all of that. I think the command queue stuff has already landed there, and the extended memory stuff is there as well. So yeah, if someone's told you that support has landed in Rel for MV, then it's already available in the CentOS Stream AIE host kernel stuff. and the QEMU and libvirt bits basically. So yeah, they upstream it there initially. It's downstreamed to rel 4 MV, and then they re-upstream it again to the kernel, libvirt, QEMU, and everyone, and then it goes into the vanilla kind of versions from there.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Yeah, so there, yeah, I think that should be good. So, Verarubin, once the Verarubin kernel support landed, and we can start the testing the Verarubin enablement of KubeVirt enablement on Verarubin. Uh, yeah, in this month. So I will share you more information there. I my I think I expect there won't be much challenge and breaking changes between the Grace Blackwell and the Verarubin. The only thing, the critical thing is we need to support the confidential VM in Verarubin. So that's a big scope for us. That requires uh, enable the secured boot for the VM and ARM-based realm management. That's a confidential computer architecture on the ARM-based CPU and Blackwell GPU, Rubin GPU, Blackwell and Rubin GPU. So all the memory will be encrypted and secured in the hardware. And there will be, and the KubeVirt need to be integrated with a attestation framework to let for every data to be decrypted before it get encrypted and decrypted. It need to go through the attestation workflow. So yeah, so as a so basically also needed to support the um, test the trust execution environment, the TEE for the Kubernetes.
Yeah. From your point of view, is that going to be a hard requirement for Vera Rubin, and is that something that you would want for 1.10, or is it something that you just eventually need?
What's the timeline for the 1.10?
So 1.10, Federico, holder of the release schedule for 1.10. Have you posted the PR yet by any chance?
Okay. Yeah, so
Not yet. It will be. Oh, yeah, I mean, not yet. I will post the schedule tomorrow.
Okay, because I think for
the
CCA it's still very under development, right? And it's not due until the end of the year, I think. The last I heard,
Okay.
potentially.
Okay,
Yeah.
that totally makes sense because for our timeline for the CCA support, the CCA support and the TE support in the Kubernetes on the Verarubin, that will be by January next year. So I think we should target the 1.10.
Well, yeah, it's a bit of a chicken and egg situation because Federico, when is code freeze for 1.10? Is it November?
November.
Yeah, 4 months from here. So
Not even November, October. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's all why I was asking because like yeah, I- even to get CCA into the KubeVirt AIE stuff is going to be a bit of a push for 1.9 for that branch and stuff, and then yeah, maybe this is an effort that we do for KubeVirt AIE 1.10 or something. So after that code freeze, then we can just layer on some additional support. But yeah, it's not a hard requirement for the platform, right? For Vera Rubin, it's just it can offer it, so we want to enable it. Is that correct?
I yeah, I think that for us that's a hard requirement we need to ship. along with a very secure, because it's an important feature for running AI workload in a secure environment.
Yeah,
So
fair.
yeah, I think even though it's not be put landed, even though it's not be possible be landed in 1.10, we can ship with AIE as a plan B.
Yeah, but yeah, that's why we have this fork as well, is to give us additional development time on some of these releases, to align with downstream stuff and downstream release time schedules. And it gives us a bit more flexibility. So if there are features like CCA, Secure Boot actually for ARM isn't in 1.9. I had it as a feature, and it didn't land in the end because of the required bits landed in CentOS Stream 10 like the day before code freeze. So it was a bit of a nightmare. So I was using a Virt preview repo for them up until then, and I just gave up at that point and just punted it to 1.10. But yeah, for things like that that haven't made a release, um, that's the whole reason we have the KubeVirt AIE branches, is to kind of cherry pick stuff on top that enables these platforms, and to then kind of allow us to then re-upstream things if needed, from that into the next release. So we could, thinking about the timeline and your requirements and stuff, we might have to look at CCA support in the 1.10 AIE branch and V branch, I guess, to enable that. That's going to be fun because that's not a small topic. It's quite big.
Yeah.
While also landing the implementation then in 1.11, I guess. But yeah, I guess we kind of did something like that with this release with the Blackwell support and everything and 1.8, so it's definitely possible. Okay. Okie doke. We are running out of time, and I just had one more question, quickly. Obviously, at the moment with Blackwell, everything's been device plugin driven through GPU operator. As we're talking about Vera Rubin and stuff, I know that there's a big push from NVIDIA to move towards DRA, and particularly because of some of the kind of use cases it unlocks, in terms of resource allocation and scheduling and stuff. Are you is there going to be a big push, do you think, to use DRA for Vera Rubin, for actually, using resources hosted on there, so Rubin GPUs and everything else, or is, are you planning to stay with device plugin, for Vera Rubin for now?
Currently, we haven't planned the clear so it's a separate for I can expect for long term we will use the devices plugin as the first choices for user to use Blackwell and Vera Rubin. But in because it's easy and the transfer it's easy to implement, and the user can keeping the existence deployment and uh, and all the ways they're using GPUs. But for the long term, migrating from device plugin to the DRA is a destination. And for the DRA, a good thing is we are going to support the Fabric Manager integrate with DRA. So if in the future user wanted to allocate the GPU along with Fabric partitions, they have to go through the DRA path.
Yeah, that makes sense, and that's kind of been my understanding. Our roadmap to DRA hasn't been the most coherent as well, or planned out. So we're talking about it internally now, and I just wanted to make sure that we were aligned with your NVIDIA's kind of potential use of it for Vera Rubin, especially, and then beyond it. And I think that kind of aligns that for the more kind of advanced NVLink kind of backed use cases, you are going to be pushing DRA, but for simple, straightforward pass through and things where that's not required, like device plugins will still be available to use and supported by the GPU operator and stuff. So, okay, that's cool. That just just a bit of not intel, but just awareness for us because we also want to get behind the DRA implementation in KubeVirt obviously, and make sure that that's prioritized adequately as well. So I just wanted to make sure that we weren't too far apart.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, I'm just going to quickly write to do for me to write up example custom RPM walkthrough and post to Slack. Just so I don't forget to do that tomorrow. Did anyone have anything else they wanted to talk about today? Covered quite a lot. Hopefully that was useful.
Yeah, just one point. So, what's the manual test are you going to do for the 1.9 release regarding to the GP support?
That's not a bad point actually. All that I've been doing and we've been doing previously downstream was obviously installing one of the open drivers, checking that the SMI utility reported back that everything was fine. We were running various CUDA samples. I'm not entirely sure where they came from. They were in the guest image that we were given and populated already. But just testing that they work. And that was about it. That's all the kind of manual testing that we've been doing up until now, that I've been doing at least as a dev. I think there is additional stuff that our ecosystem engineering team have been doing, who've been helping us QE this. But that's the baseline I was going to start with. If you have additional test frameworks or suggestions for things that we should be running in the guest to validate that from the driver side everything's correct and that from a workload side everything's correct, I'm happy to run that as well and to kind of collaborate on that. But it's very basic all I've been doing thus far.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Just curious because I'm doing the sort of the sanity test. So for the two phase, the first one is get the VM boots up and without any error. Everything the devices pass through working correctly, kernel, from the kernel side, everything looks good. The driver installed in the guest working functionally, and running a sanity test from the CUDA sanity test inside the VM. Yeah, sort of that. I just wanted to sync up with you to see if I have missed something that you covered or you focused on.
No, I've been manually checking the libvirt domain XML, and then checking the PCI topology and the NUMA layout and everything within the guest as well. But it's all very manual at the moment, and it sounds like we're kind of doing the same kind of manual testing within the guest, other than that with CUDA samples and stuff like that. So that's all fine. Obviously, until we get CI hardware, there's no real point, I don't think, just yet in translating that into some functional tests that we carry somewhere, given how much setup is required for this as well. Like within the guest itself to kind of run the CUDA sample, install the driver, run the CUDA samples, all that kind of stuff. So for now I think that's fine. But potentially if we ever get dedicated hardware to test some of this stuff against, that would be an interesting topic to kind of dive into and figure out how we can functionally assert this support and behavior and test it in a sane way. But yeah, for now that should be enough.
Okay, sounds good.
Cool. We are over time. So thank you all for joining. Hopefully that was really useful. I thought it was really useful today. If you are in the US, have a lovely long weekend. And yeah, we'll catch you all next week in the Slack channel and the next meeting in 2 weeks. Cheers.
Yeah, thank you. Congratulations
Yeah.
to England.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, the game is at 1 o'clock in the morning against Mexico, so I will not be watching it. We're going to lose. I think we're going to lose 5-0. So yeah, you heard it here first. I've
Come
got
on,
no.
you don't have any meeting tomorrow, so you can do that.
Oh no. The game is on Sunday night at 1 a.m. So Monday morning. Sorry.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'm not
You
staying
don't
up for
have
that.
any meeting on Monday.
They're gonna get destroyed in Mexico anyway. Like it's not gonna be good. I don't need to see that. But yeah, the US got through, so good for them.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Cheers all.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye now. Have a good weekend. Bye.
Cheers.